Trump, 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 Trump. It must be a mental hell to live somewhere in your mind where you hate your president for nonsensical reasons and you waste so much time and energy on the wrong side of history. Do you know how many people, I remember watching his speech live. So when people were telling me that he was talking about fight like hell and all this, I was like, what are you talking about? That's not true. He didn't say that. He said, we're going to go down there and we're going to peacefully support these people, blah, blah, because I was watching it when I woke up that day. To find out that one of the largest news agencies that's in the UK, the BBC, was responsible for manipulating millions of people into thinking that Trump was some kind of right-wing authoritarian dictator that told people to storm the Capitol. But then these same news agencies lied and pretended that the Capitol was overran. Bro, it was mainly just like 95% of the people were just walking around waving American flags, patriots, people whose families love this country, fought for this country, died for this country. We're Americans. This is all we have. If things go wrong here, where do we go? My family immigrated here from Cuba. We ran from communism. Where do we go if the United States falls? So that's why I have such a disdain for anti-American, unpatriotic people who refuse to leave the country and move somewhere else. It's disgusting. But right now, I'm going to show you these clips. This defamation, this 1 billion, Trump's already won it. This is not even a case anymore. Just like he won that 25 million from NBC and all these other people that slandered him and libeled, this BBC one is already in the bag. See, when you have all your evidence together, there's nothing to dispute. They edited the video and they literally defrauded the world. And a lot of people didn't learn the truth and wouldn't have learned the truth if Elon Musk had not bought X. Because if Trump didn't win the presidency, it would have just went down in history. A lie. It makes me want to think back how many more lies are in our history books. I'm starting to think slavery was a lie. I'm starting to think I'm trying to think how people just lie about everything, just like this. And they hold on to it and they try to convince me that their lies are real. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the lies around Charlie Kirk. I know what the man said. I know what he believed. I saw him switch. This is no different. I'm actually in a lawsuit. I'm suing Tesla right now. But is it really even a lawsuit? I have all the evidence. There is no disputing. You just have to present it. And then what are they going to do? How can they even deny this? Take a listen.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you. And we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
These clips showing the edited and original versions of a Trump speech have caused a major crisis at the BBC. The BBC's Director General, Tim Davie, and Head of News, Deborah Turness, have both resigned amid mounting criticism that the broadcaster deceived viewers. The speech was part of an hour-long address given by Donald Trump before protesters attacked the US Capitol on January 6.
Nobody attacked. Protesters didn't attack. Federal agents attacked the building. Protesters were invited in. We were literally waved in. We took selfies and pictures with the law enforcement. They gave us hugs. The Q shaman was escorted into different chambers where he was able to take pictures. We prayed with Capitol Police. We held hands and we prayed to Jesus, our Lord and Savior. And we spoke and we prayed for Donald Trump. We prayed for our country. And you'll sit here and you would You will sit here and you will lie. You will besmirch our image. You will defame our president. You will say anything to demonize us. You're evil. You're sick. And then when people will hear, well, they'll see this and they'll still want to believe the lies because they're in a cult. They're sick. They're NPCs. They're not really able to think for themselves. So to watch this it's disheartening and it's sad because you have to figure out how many people around you are infected by this mind virus that prevents them from thinking for themselves. I had a taste of it. 2016 and 17 and 18, I hated him and I had no idea why. I was remember arguing with one of my Mexican friends. And you know what I said to him? And I'm so embarrassed. Well, you're Mexican, so you're telling me you should feel a certain way about somebody because of what your background is? How low IQ and fucking pitiful is that? So there's nothing else to you besides your race. So your education, your success, your mindset, who you are as a person, your character, none of that matters. But where your parents or grandparents might have came from, that's what should dictate how you think. Disgusting.
The Telegraph UK published an exclusive report saying it had seen an internal BBC memo from a former external advisor. The memo suggested that the documentary had edited parts of the president's speech, so he appeared to explicitly encourage the storming of the Capitol. The speech that appears in the documentary stitches two segments together that were more than 50 minutes apart.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol. And we fight. We fight like hell.
Trump took to Truth Social to celebrate the resignation news, posting, "The top people in the BBC, including Tim Davie, the boss, are all quitting/fired because they were caught doctoring my very good, perfect speech of January 6th. Announcing his resignation, Davie said in a statement posted on the BBC website, "Like all public organisations, the BBC is not perfect, and we must always be open, transparent, and accountable."
You know what? I can respect him. At least he didn't try to lie and say, oh, I had no idea. Someone made no. At least he took accountability and said, you know what? We make mistakes. The thing is, who paid him to make that edit? Who told him that this was going to be a good idea, knowing that in the future the truth could eventually come out? Who told him to take a risk like that and risk embarrassing the BBC? A news agency that's supposed to be unbiased. It's actually state-run media, like how they have it in Qatar or in Canada. You know, state-run propaganda media 24/7. But you would have thought that they would have at least been unbiased about another country's election and their leaders. They manipulated the world. Do you know that the January 6th committee quoted this speech from the fucking BBC? They drug us through hell. Do you remember those J6 committee hearings on C-SPAN? Do you remember watching them? Do you remember those Capitol Police going up there and lying about how afraid they were, how scared they were, and how people stormed in? But then Mr. Tucker Carlson, who everyone hates so much right now, he was able to get, what was it, 250 hours of footage that had never been seen and no one had ever released. And we saw the truth of J6, that there was nothing. We found out that almost 300 federal FBI agents dressed up, pretending to be Trump supporters, were at January 6th at the Capitol, breaking windows, storming and kicking in doors, vandalizing rooms. And actual Americans, normal patriots who were just there, like I would have been, are asking them, what are you doing? And reporting them to the police like, hey, these guys are over here breaking stuff. Do you want me to help you? We need to stop them. They're going to make us all look bad. They were sent there on purpose. They were literally planted in there to literally destroy Trump's chances at ever being reelected. And temporarily he did. You know, people always say, well, Trump lost the 2020 election. Did he? Trump's still a billionaire with all of his kids and his family. Trump didn't lose the 2020 election. We did. The American people did, because remember, we went into lockdown. We were in lockdown and we stayed in lockdown until Putin decided to invade the Ukraine in February of 2022. We were in lockdown. Every day they're just reporting to you about death. They're keeping you indoors. They're closing your business. Patriots in different parts of the country were trying to storm state capitol buildings to get us back open. White, patriotic Americans trying to get the country open. Blacks and gays in our population are begging to stay closed, because you know what happens when you stay closed? Free rent, free utilities, free food. Just like in Cuba, our black citizens want communism. Our white ones want to work and take care of themselves. You know, people always ask, like, why do you never see so many black people traveling? It's just a thing. Don't want to work, don't want to earn. It's not even cultural. It's genetic. It's hereditary. You know, you don't even see the dark populations of these different places until you go to them. And you're like, wait a minute, you guys got black people here? Never seen them before, because they never leave. They live off the state everywhere they go. In our own country, I watched my neighbors who were black tell me, don't talk about ending the lockdown in LA. Hell no, I'm not going to vote in the recall for Larry Elder. I'm voting for Gavin Newsom. And I spit my drink out. I'm in a cafe where I see this one fat chick, one of my neighbors. I'm like, what the fuck? What do you mean, Gavin Newsom? What do you? We just triggered a recall. What do you mean you want to vote for Newsom? And she said, oh yeah, he's gonna give us another stimulus check. He's gonna give us more stimulus. Shut up, Rico. Don't talk about it. You're gonna knock our hustle. I was like, so that you can get a bunch of free shit, you want to continue giving up your freedom? I made the decision after that to evacuate Los Angeles about a week later. Never went back. The mind virus, the communism. People got a taste of it during the lockdown. They wanted more. So that's why when they thought they had an excuse to keep Trump out of office so that everything could stay closed, they all, even though they knew it was bullshit, they wanted to believe it. They fought to believe it. I watched them do it. It disgusted me because I want to take care of myself. I want things to go back to normal, whatever normal is. It took years. We're still not even back to normal in California. Still. Places like Texas and Florida stayed open. Their economies are flourishing. And the rest of the country is suffering. And they're trying to pretend it's because of tariffs. No. It's because you guys played the game with the mask and the lockdowns for too many years. You believe, you literally knew the January 6th narrative was fake. And you believed it. You forced yourself to believe it because you wanted to live for free. This is the other person that got fired from the BBC. This is Deborah Turnus. Let's see what she has to say.
I would like to say it has been the privilege of my career to serve as the CEO of BBC News and to work with our brilliant team of journalists. I stepped down over the weekend because the buck stops with me. But I'd like to make one thing very clear. BBC News is not institutionally biased. That's why it's the world's most trusted news provider.
Why did you fail to deal with the mistakes that were made?
And see my teams. Thank you so much.
Right, do you think that the journalists are institutionally corrupt, like President Trump says? Do you think the journalists
our journalists aren't corrupt. Our journalists are hardworking people who strive for impartiality, and I will stand by their journalism.
How the fuck do you stand by somebody editing a video, causing a war? We almost had a civil war in our country because people were pushing these lies about Trump supporters. Do you know the FBI used that speech and what happened on J6 to hunt down thousands of patriotic Americans who were literally just visiting the people's house, a public building that was open to the public that day? Do you know they hunted us down? Do you know how many years they kept some of us in jail for? No trial, solitary confinement. But you stand by your journalism. That wasn't journalism. So you're admitting that you stand by fraud. You should be calling out that this was pure fraud, and I'm ashamed of what my staff committed. But I wonder if she was in on it too and how much she was paid. She seems like she's stepping down. It doesn't seem like she's afraid of losing any money. She's not worried about losing her house or her car or her pension. So she's working on behalf of someone, and she basically is taking the arrows herself. Deborah Turnus.
There institutional bias at the BBC?
There is no institutional bias. Mistakes are made, but there's no institutional bias.
But why weren't the mistakes dealt with on Trump, on anti-Semitism, on women's rights?
I'm sure that story will emerge, but for now, I'm going to go and see our team.
Do you think the board acted against Do you think the board acted?
You know, it's amazing when you see people that work for the news, but they don't believe in journalism. She works for the BBC. She was the CEO. She should have been more than happy to give an interview. Isn't that what you guys are all about, doing interviews, speaking to people? What a piss poor example for a CEO of a media institution. And that's why they are failing. And IVO Media and my own media companies were growing. More and more followers every day, more and more subscribers, more and more comments, more and more people are leaving small donations, because there's never a slow day in news, in my opinion. Everything that these people will lie about and don't want to talk about, I'll do it. That's what me and my friends, we'll go ahead and put it together. We will make it happen. Just to watch them, that's not a mistake. You don't mistakenly edit out 50 minutes between a speech and put two different parts together. Whoops. How did that happen? I must have fell asleep on the keyboard. That's not a fucking whoops. That is something that had to be cleared. Multiple levels. She's the CEO. It had to go up to her to be cleared. There's safety protocols, fact checks. All of those were literally turned off just to paint Trump as the bad guy so that the globalists or the Zionists, I'm not sure, I'll be honest, the BBC, I'm not sure. I mean, they could be Zionist control, but the globalists have taken over now. But 4 years ago, the Zionists were in control. Israel turned against Trump. I don't see them being his friend. This is just amazing. The way they talk about it like it was just a mistake. Do you know what a mistake is? You accidentally slip and fall. Not this.
That Abdullah's father was a deputy agriculture minister, and therefore, was a member of the Hamas-run government, which is different to being part of the military wing of Hamas. And I think externally, it's often simplified that he was in Hamas, and I think it's an important point of detail that we need to continually remind people of the difference.
Apparently, talking about this is when the BBC broke impartiality rules. And she doesn't seem to know that actually both sides of were armed, and they were deemed terrorist organizations by the government. These people are not that bright. If you're somebody like me, right, you think these people get into these positions because they're smarter than everyone else and they work their way up. But actually, it's just that these people are so dumb, they'll do anything their boss tells them to do, and they won't question it. And that's how they get into these positions. Not because they're smart, but because they're dumb. Not because they can think critically, but because they can follow orders. It's kind of like when you go to school nowadays. If you can memorize the tests, you pass. But if you can critically think and figure out problems, you won't, or you'll get a C. They don't want a critical thinker. They want a drone. They want a worker bee. I understand it, but Jesus Christ. These two, the heads will roll. The heads of the two CEOs of the BBC had to resign because Trump has a case, a $1 billion defamation case that he already won because it's true. The evidence is already out in the public. He's already presented it. How do you argue with the truth? And they both said, you know what, the buck stop was me. Mistakes were made. They admitted they were wrong. Like right now, like I said, I'm in a lawsuit with Tesla. I got an email from their lawyer. I didn't even have a legal counsel at the time. And they were like, yeah, we know some mistakes were made. I'm like, well, then why are you fighting with me? Admit that you were wrong, pay out, and then we can, go our separate ways. Why did they force Trump to even do this? They saw he won against NBC and these other news outlets. They should have preemptively cleared this up, made a correction, reposted it, fired the people that were a part of it, and apologized. Maybe just in hopes that would mitigate the damage that they caused, so that maybe he might be gentle with his lawsuit and his demand. Maybe instead of $1 billion, he'll just do 100 million. Do you know how much $1 billion is? It's 1,001 millions. That's a lot of goddamn money. And they're going to have to pay him every cent. And if they don't have it, they're going to have to liquidate and go bankrupt. They're going to pay him. I'll be honest with you. Hopefully when this is done, since Piers Morgan has been playing nice, maybe he can buy up the BBC for pennies on the dollar and turn it into something respectable. Because I've seen Piers pivot as well. He's more so like the Stephen A. Smith of the UK. He was a lefty until it wasn't convenient no more. Now he wants to sound like he has some sense. A chameleon. Nothing wrong with that. A lot of people are chameleons. You do what you got to do to survive. But, knowing that I'm on the right side of history and supporting Trump ahead of time before people start thinking it's cool in a couple of years, it's amazing. It feels good to be where I'm at.
Shocking. BBC Verify have spent minutes analysing footage obtained by our trusted sources of Reform UK leader Nigel Farage openly turning on his own voter base and even siding with irregular migrants, the very people he built his entire campaign of hate and division on. We warn you that the following footage is deeply triggering.
And it's because we recognise that Britain is broken that we're putting forward the bold, ambitious changes and policies that will actually get things back on track. We can't perform miracles overnight, but to start with, we're going to put British people into prison. No more benefits for any British people. We're going to let the massive Boris wave all get indefinite leave to remain over the next 3 years and all be able to bring a dependent claim benefits.
Well, as you can see, that footage was absolutely authentic and totally verified.
You know what? I appreciate British sarcasm. There were some heavy jump cuts in there. And I'll be honest, I do appreciate a British sense of humor. I used to be a real big Mr. Bean fan. We here on the other side of the pond, we used to think that the British were just more professional than we are, just because of how they talk. Who knew they were also slime buckets too? To edit a man's speech and to post it as if it's true, as if another person who was there live couldn't just counter you and say, wait a minute, I actually have the live footage. You're an idiot. Why would you even put that out? They weren't even worried about being embarrassed in the future. But you know what they say? You can't shame the shameless. Here's Trump, another fucking win. The wins can't stop. You know how good it feels that I support Trump? I support my country. I'm proud of what he's doing. People will keep thinking it's illegal immigration is this is a topic about like a popularity contest. Like, oh, you should pick this guy. No. This is about literally people paying immigrants to come to this country. You go to work every day and you get a check, but you have to work for it. These immigrants are being paid what you're making at your job or more, but all they have to do is just be in the house at home. They're literally paying these people to sit in these areas in their house. They give them cash through Medicaid. That's why they wanted all that Medicaid funding, so they can finish paying off their immigrants who they give money to. And then they give EBT benefits, Section 8, and they need them there so they can increase so they can be counted in the census for the congressional seats in these areas. It's all for fraud. It's all for fraud. Trump's exposing all of it. Elon Musk is exposing it. Don't you want to be on the right side of history? Don't you want that to stop? Don't you understand that every illegal vote dilutes your vote? It cancels it out. I thought you wanted your right to vote. I thought that's what your people fought for. What happened to you? You've lost your way. If it takes somebody like Rico to come in here and recalibrate your moral compass, then so be it. I have the screwdriver. I can do it. I'm doing it right now. I'm making this content and I'm speaking to people directly, and hopefully they'll share the videos. I'll be buying new microphones. I'll set up a better studio, and I'll just do this all day, every day until the message gets across to the public. Trump won again, and it didn't take much. The truth was on his side. Reality was on his side the whole time.
We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you. And we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women. We're going to.
You know, I should get on Twitter right now, and there should be so many people apologizing to Trump, but they're not, because they're shitty people, bad Americans, you know. But the good thing is we don't really got to coexist with them forever. Change gonna come. The vaccine is our salvation. Remember, I keep telling you that, and one day you'll figure out why. Like and subscribe, share the video. Congratulations to Trump. I look forward to your victory. Throw me a little shum. Actually, he's throwing a $2K check apparently in the next week or so. I don't agree with giving out free money to people, but he's saying that it's the dividends from what we've earned from the increased tariffs. By my calculations, we should be getting like 15K, but it's whatever. It's better than nothing. But the people who really need it, they're still going to need money after that, so it's not really helping them. I mean, it's not like they have a plan. People are just, you know, it's teach a man to fish. You don't just give a man a fish, but whatever. I mean, if this is going to help, if this is what he wants to do, he's better than me. But, you know, giving money to the same people that lied about you, I mean, he should make them do a loyalty test. They should have to come in and pledge allegiance to Donald Trump to get that check. And then they should have like a porcelain copy of his ass that he made. Like they do a mold of his ass. And before you sign to pick up your check, you got to kiss it. And you got to wear a MAGA hat and take a picture with the ass, that the molding of Trump's ass, and then they give you the check. I think that's how it should go, in my opinion. But see, that's why I'm not your president. That's why I'm not your leader. I'm not as nice as Trump. So anyway, like and subscribe, share the video. Let me know your thoughts. I appreciate your comments. Yeah, you can donate. Somebody asked, yes, you can donate at shelterbabies.org. That's my PayPal, my what do you call it? Cash App. I don't know. It got flagged. I don't know, but I have to set up another one. But if you have any questions, and I appreciate you guys sending me these videos in the comments. The email is thesingleboyfriendrico@gmail.com. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. I'll be back on live in about 25 minutes with another topic, and I'll see you again shortly. Cheers.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.